Reaching 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a single season is borderline impossible. It takes incredible power, insane speed, and a level of dominance that most hitters can only dream of. That is why since the creation of baseball, only 6 men have crossed the legendary threshold. The first of which was Jose Canseco in 1988. Jose was a man who in one day could launch a 500-foot homer and gain 1,000 new superfans, and in the next, get arrested for a nightclub brawl and take enough steroids to kill a horse. But to understand why he became both a baseball icon and its most notorious whistleblower, first we need to go back to a conversation he had with his dying mother.
I told her on the spot, for you, I'm going to become the best baseball player in the world. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care what it is. It's going to get done. This is my pledge to you, Mom.
When Jose said he'd do whatever it takes, it seems he meant turning to the juice, because by 1985, he was absolutely tearing up the minors while on pace for a 70 home run and 225 RBI season. The A's were practically forced to call him up in September, and in his very first game at the Coliseum, he crushed a 425-foot bomb. Canseco hit over 300 with 5 home runs to end out the season, but it was only the calm before the storm. In his first full season, he led the majors with 23 home runs by the All-Star break and finished the year with 33 bombs and 117 RBIs, which easily won him Rookie of the Year. But Canseco wasn't just chasing awards, he was chasing immortality. By 1988, with his confidence sky high and his muscles bulging with suspicion, he set out to achieve a goal that no player had ever thought to strive for. He wanted to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a single season. Most thought he was insane. The rest thought at best he was delusional, but he trucked forward anyways. Jose's power was never in question. He had already hit 33 home runs as a rookie, but 40 stolen bases was an extreme ask. He was built like a linebacker, and it's not like he was a great base stealer to begin with. In the previous 2 seasons, he only had 30 stolen bases combined. That meant Jose needed to hit 7 more home runs in his best season to date, and essentially triple his stolen base total to reach his goal. Yet despite the odds, he very quickly made believers out of doubters. In the first 20 games, he had 7 home runs and 8 stolen bases. And by game 100, he had 25 of both. All Jose needed was one final push at the end of the season to make his mark. And on September 23rd, 1988, he did something truly spectacular.
He's leaning a little bit right now. He's running. There's the throw. Number 40. Jose Canseco, the first man ever in big league history.
Jose became the 40-40 Club founder, which made his winning of the MVP by a unanimous vote almost a no-brainer. Jose was a superstar. He was on magazine covers, he was celebrated as a baseball pioneer, and with an ego big enough to say this at 59 years old,
and whip it around like a toothpick, and I still got it.
Aaron Judge, they called
right
you
here.
out, man.
You're 6'7", 280 pounds. I'm a 60-year-old man. Do you think you can actually beat me?
And challenge a man over 40 years younger than him to a boxing match? Jose was possibly the most iconic baseball personality of his generation. But with the spotlight so closely focused on him, there also came extreme scrutiny. Hiding behind Jose's jaw-dropping stats and crazy off-the-field antics was a secret so big that it would eventually come to define him and all of baseball. In 2005, Canseco released an explosive tell-all book titled Juiced: Wild Times, Rampant Roids, Smash Hits, and How Baseball Got Big, in which he openly admitted to using steroids and claimed with certainty that many of the game's biggest stars had done the same. He didn't just confess. He named names: Mark McGwire, Rafael Palmeiro, Jason Giambi, Alex Rodriguez. The list went on, and the revelation turned the baseball world upside down. Some saw him as a traitor, others a whistleblower, but one thing was certain: Canseco didn't just break the code of silence, he screamed in the face of it. And his legacy, which was once built on historic feats and impossible numbers, forever became tied to cheating and performance-enhancing drugs. Yet somehow, even after all Jose did, there is one name that will forever be more synonymous with the steroid era, and that is Barry Bonds. If Jose Canseco was a villain, then Barry Bonds was a supervillain. Bonds was the greatest player to ever do it, and his downfall as a juicer rocked the league to its core. But before the congressional hearings, the 73 home run season, and all the asterisk debates, we must go back to when he was just a skinny kid from Riverside, California, trying to live up to an impossibly large last name. Bonds' godfather was Willie Mays, and his father, Bobby Bonds, was a professional baseball player too, and a pretty damn good one at that. Barry wanted to do his family name proud, but he also wanted more. He didn't just want to be great, he wanted to be the best ever. And for the first decade of his career, he was. With the Pirates in the early 90s, he was stacking MVPs like trading cards, winning 2 by the age of 28, while casually leading the league in on-base percentage, slugging, and stolen bases. But it wasn't until he hit San Francisco in 1993 that the Barry Bonds show really took off. That year, he hit .336 with 46 bombs and 123 RBIs, took home his 3rd MVP, and made it crystal clear that he was not just a great player, he was baseball's apex predator. For context, in 2022, when Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs, his OPS was 1,111. Bonds' OPS with 16 less home runs was 1,136. Barry's on-base percentage was an astronomical .458 that season, which is the 201st best of all time. But that's weak sauce compared to what Bonds would soon come to do. In 1996, Bonds was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, and with 42 home runs and 40 stolen bases, he joined Canseco as only the 2nd member of the 40-40 club. But unlike Canseco, whose 40-40 season is without question his most memorable year, Bonds' 40-40 season seems like chump change compared to his following decade of dominance. McGwire and Sosa turned baseball into a home run derby in 1998, and Bonds wanted to join the party, so in the middle of baseball's steroid era, he sought out the Krabby Patty muscle growth formula, and by 2001, he looked comically different than before. His head size quadrupled to that of handsome Squidward, his arms were bigger than most people's legs, and his power looked like he was playing on rookie mode in the show. By 2001's All-Star break, he hit 39 home runs, yet somehow, his second half was even more ridiculous. He slugged .908 after the break, and ended the year with a stat line that actually looks like a joke. 73 home runs, .328 batting average, and 177 walks. Bonds was hitting so many home runs that his slugging percentage of .863 would have passed as a great OPS, but his actual OPS of 1.379 is simply mythological. Of course though, his greatness came with baggage. Steroid allegations swirled for years, and by 2023 with a body transformation more egregious than Ozempic, the Balco investigation cracked everything open, and Bonds was right at the center of the controversy.
Baseball's all-time home run king is on trial. The federal government's case against Barry Bonds begins with jury selection Monday in San Francisco.
In 2007, Bonds testified that he may have used juice but didn't know it was juice. But no matter the looming clouds of dispute around him, Bonds was by far the most feared hitter in baseball history. And with 120 intentional walks in 2004 and a career OPS of 1.051, a total higher than Mark McGwire, Hank Aaron, and Ted Williams, Bonds will own the title of the home run king forever. But the title of the most controversial baseball player ever might very well go to Alex Rodriguez. There might not be a player in baseball history more talented, but also more hated than Alex Rodriguez. He played 22 seasons, made 14 All-Star games, won 3 MVPs, 10 Silver Sluggers, hit 696 home runs, stole nearly 330 bases, and racked up more than $420 million in career earnings. Yet he also dated half of Hollywood, sued the MLB, sued the Players Union, sued the Yankees team doctor, was suspended for a record 211 games, and also got caught doing steroids not once, not twice, but multiple times. He told on teammates, allegedly threatened whistleblowers, and somehow managed to be both the best player on the field and the least liked guy in the clubhouse, sometimes at the exact same time. He could have been the Michael Jordan of baseball, but instead he became the sport's most controversial enigma, part icon, part fraud, and full-blown tabloid magnet. But in 1998, none of that noise mattered yet, because he was young, exciting, and about to put on one of the greatest shows the game had ever seen.
And that is hit well into right center field. Anderson goes back and see you later. There it is. Alex Rodriguez is now a 40-40 player.
While Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were chasing history in the National League, A-Rod was quietly rewriting it in the American. With 42 home runs and 46 stolen bases, he became just the third player ever to reach 40-40. And he did it while playing elite defense at shortstop, the most demanding infield position. He finished the year with 213 hits, 123 RBIs, 151 runs, and a .310 batting average. In a different year without a home run race sucking up all the oxygen, that probably would have won him an MVP. Instead, it just confirmed what everyone else already feared. Alex Rodriguez wasn't just going to be a star, he was going to completely take over the sport. But if the 40-40 season was A-Rod's wedding ceremony, then everything after that became the honeymoon and divorce.
Your new contract is worth $300 million plus.
A-Rod's contracts got bigger, his off-the-field girlfriends got hotter, his season-ending stats got crazier, but so did the controversial whispers. He had 57 home runs in 2002, which quickly broke the bank with a 10-year, $252 million contract, the highest ever in sports at the time. But the greatness always came with a grain of suspicion. Steroid rumors followed him like a shadow, and by 2009, they were finally confirmed.
Rodriguez is back in the news, and so now is Major League Baseball. After years of public denials, we're now learning he came clean to the feds earlier this year about taking performance-enhancing drugs.
A-Rod admitted to using PEDs from a fake Miami doctor, later got caught again in the biogenesis scandal, and eventually served the longest suspension in MLB history. But even with all the controversy, A-Rod's career numbers still felt almost too absurd to comprehend. He's one of only 4 players in history with 3,000 hits and 600 home runs. He won 2 Gold Gloves, stole 329 bases, 10 Silver Sluggers, and put up a WAR higher than Hank Aaron. Still, ask most fans about Alex Rodriguez, and they don't talk about the greatness. They talk about the ego, the scandals, the fakeness, because when it came to A-Rod, the problem was never whether he was good enough. It was whether he could ever stop getting in his own way long enough to save his reputation. Yet for one glorious season in 1998, before the lawsuits, the suspensions, and the headlines, A-Rod was the most electrifying player in baseball. A 23-year-old shortstop with the body of a Greek god and a seat at one of the rarest tables in the game. But believe it or not, being a steroid-using, controversial superstar isn't a requirement to join the 40-40 club, because Alfonso Soriano was miles away from the steroid spotlight, yet in 2006, he found a way to join the club anyways. Alfonso Soriano's 2006 season remains one of the most impressive and underrated individual performances of all time, yet it often gets lost in the shuffle when compared to the other great seasons in the game. Soriano, originally from the Dominican Republic, had a very unconventional start to his professional career. He first played in Japan with the Hiroshima Toyo Carp, but disliked the intense Japanese practice schedule and the way the team denied him a salary increase from $45,000 to $180,000. Like Hideo Nomo, who had previously left Japan to play in the United States, Soriano wanted out. He retired from the NPB to try to jump leagues, which prompted Carp executives to send letters to MLB teams demanding that they cease all negotiations with him. Since MLB had not yet agreed to any changes in the posting system, Commissioner Bud Selig declared that MLB would recognize Soriano as a free agent and allow him to sign with the Yankees to start the 1998 season.
Okay, so all the moves that teams have made at the trade deadline, Alfonso Soriano, has he been the biggest acquisition any team has made? Absolutely.
As if it were subtle foreshadowing, in 2002, Soriano became the second Yankee in franchise history to record 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. But his dominance didn't end there. In 2003, he set the record for the most leadoff home runs to start a game with 13, led the league in at-bats, and finished in the top 5 for base hits, doubles, home runs, stolen bases, and strikeouts. Soriano might have had Monument Park retired number potential, but in 2004, the Yankees decided to trade him to the Rangers in a blockbuster deal for Alex Rodriguez. As a lab-grown Yank, Soriano's career looked like it might take a downturn, but after being traded to the Nationals in 2006, the jigsaw puzzle of his career finally came together to create his best season yet. Soriano became just the 4th player in MLB history to achieve a 40-40 season.
Soriano with a good lead on a 2-0 pitch. There he goes. And he is in there without a throw, and that's number 40 for Soriano.
and he did it with the most home runs to date at 46. But Soriano didn't just reach the 40-40 club. He was the first player to join the 40-40-40 club. Soriano had a combination of 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases, and 40 doubles, which stands as a truly unique milestone in baseball. Even more impressive is that while players like Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, and Jose Canseco were linked to steroid use after their 40-40 seasons, Soriano's season remains completely untarnished. At the time, he was the only one in the club to have accomplished the feat without any accusations of PEDs, making it possible to claim that in 2006, he was the only true 40-40 club member. Soriano would go on to accumulate over 400 home runs, 2,000 hits, and nearly 300 stolen bases. But it's his 2006 season, with its unique blend of speed and power, that stands out as his most memorable MLB stretch. While Soriano was a shining star that often flew under the radar, there is nothing that Ronald Acuna does that ever flies under the radar. Ronald Acuna Jr. won a Rookie of the Year award, MVP award, 4 All-Star selections, 3 Silver Sluggers, 3 top 12 MVP finishes, hundreds of thousands of diehard fans, and then he turned 26. When healthy, Acuna is more electric than an eel and breaks more records than the Beatles, but his path to superstardom has not been without controversy. Acuna has been benched by his manager, publicly reprimanded for wearing his hat or eye black incorrectly, had beef with Freddie Freeman, who's basically the nicest guy on earth, and was once referred to as a crybaby by Miguel Cabrera. At one point, he even found himself the target of hate from his home country Venezuela when fans booed him and attacked his family during a game. This actually caused Acuna to consider retiring, but all of the trouble he's gotten in is very likely due to how talented he is. One analyst famously stated that if he were still pitching, he would drill Acuna simply because he was too good, which is basically what happened to him as a rookie. Immediately following the All-Star break in his rookie season, Acuna hit a home run. Then the next day on August 12th, he homered again. The very next day on the 13th, he led off the game with another homer. With his home run appetite not yet satisfied, he started the second game of a doubleheader that day with another leadoff home run, and then hit a home run again the next day, making him the youngest player ever to hit a home run in 5 consecutive games. In the same game, he hit another home run in the 7th inning, which meant he was on a stretch of 8 games with 8 home runs, and 3 consecutive games with a leadoff home run. Baseball America held their breath as Acuna stepped to the plate to lead off his potential record-breaking 4th consecutive leadoff homer game, but something unexpected happened.
Acuna's hit 12 homers, 24 RBIs, and 25 runs scored leading off. And he got smoked on the very first pitch.
This was obviously an intentional move by the pitcher Urena, and it seemed to be done just because it was literally the only way to stop Acuna. And while injuries prevented him from performing at a high level in 2021 and 2022, in 2023, he was about to return from his ACL tear with the greatest revenge bod the league had ever seen.
We're gonna get into this one. What? Mr. Curtis, watch where this goes. Run that back.
Acuna was the player of the month in April. He tied his career high in steals in only June. He led the league in All-Star voting. He got married in LA on August 31st, then hit a grand slam later that day. He won the NL MVP unanimously, which he celebrated by playing in a Venezuelan Winter League game, where of course he hit a bomb. And he led the NL in plate appearances, at-bats, runs, hits, stolen bases, on-base percentage, OPS, OPS plus, and total bases. As just the cherry on top, Acuna became the 5th player in MLB history to join the 40-40 club, but he wasn't satisfied with just joining someone else's club. He wanted to start his own instead. He became the first player ever to have 40 homers and 50 steals, then the first ever to have 40 homers and 60 steals, then the first ever to have 40 homers and 70 steals, and ended the season with a mythological 41 home runs and 73 steals.
Ronald goes! There it is! He did it! A 40-70 season!
Acuna went from a probable bust the previous year to the untouchable king of the MLB, and he did it all after a potentially career-ending ACL injury. As Acuna's story unfolds, he continues to be a polarizing figure for his electrifying play and larger-than-life persona. But Acuna's larger-than-life persona pales in comparison to that of the biggest star in the league, Shohei Ohtani. There are stars, there are legends, and then there's Shohei Ohtani, a player so impossibly gifted that he broke the game of baseball harder than Batman's back on Bane's knee. Born in a small town in Japan in 1994, Shohei wasn't just a baseball fan, he was described as Yaku Shonen, the kind of kid who lived, breathed, and bled the sport, which is why by high school, he was 6'4" and already throwing 99 miles per hour. Ohtani didn't just want to pitch though, he wanted to hit too. He wanted to become the first two-way player in the modern era. At first, things were rocky. He hit just .231 in his NPB rookie year and gave critics every reason to doubt him. One analyst even called his dream childish. But Shohei didn't care about critics. He cared about proving what was possible. And by 2016, he had. He hit .322 with 22 home runs and struck out 174 batters with a 1.86 ERA. Japan had never seen anything like him, and neither had the rest of the world. Every MLB team was practically salivating over the opportunity to sign him.
This is a big moment for the Angels. We're excited to welcome the newest member to the Angel family. Welcome to Southern California, Ohtani-san.
At just 23 years old, Shohei shocked the world by turning down what could have been a $200 million contract in Japan to instead sign with the Angels for only $4 million. In his first 4 games with the Angels, Shohei hit 3 home runs and took a perfect game into the 7th inning. Shohei was even better than anyone could have predicted, but just when it seemed like he was unstoppable, his elbow gave out and the Angels announced he would have Tommy John to start the next season. Critics surfaced. They claimed his body couldn't handle the stress of being a two-way player and that he should choose just one. But then came 2021.
We have to talk about Shohei Ohtani.
In 2021, Shohei didn't just silence the haters, he became a baseball supernova. 46 home runs, a 3.18 ERA, MVP, Silver Slugger, a Time Magazine Top 100 Most Influential Person, and an All-Star twice in one season, once as a pitcher and once as a hitter. Fans didn't just cheer for him, they obsessed over him. In Japan, there were entire broadcasts dedicated to just watching Ohtani sit in the dugout. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get crazier, it did. 2022. 34 home runs, 2.33 ERA, 219 strikeouts. He hit like a slugger, pitched like an ace, and turned every stadium into a sold-out Ohtani spectacle. But it wasn't until August of 2024 that Shohei gave us the single greatest moment of his career.
First pitch. Fly ball, right center field. Series going back. He's at the track. He's at the wall. 40-40. Walk-off grand slam.
Or so we thought. Since the home run was hit in late August, there was still another month of baseball for Ohtani to rack up his totals. Carving out his legacy with each at-bat, the home run and steals tickers rose. And on September 19th, 2024, Ohtani started a new club as the only member.
On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
This was a legacy-defining moment for Shohei, and will go down as one of the most impactful at-bats of all time. But there are other at-bats like Mike Piazza's post-9/11 home run and Kirk Gibson's World Series walk-off that have had even larger impact on baseball as a whole. Watch our video on how one at-bat can determine a legacy to see which at-bats in history have left the largest imprint on baseball.